you are, please let me know if you can hear and see me, because it's embarrassing when I talk to myself in public. I've done that before and it's frowned upon. So I'd rather not do that. So let me know if you can hear and see me okay. And we'll get started here in just 1 or 2 minutes after we do our usual housekeeping and things like that. So let me know. All right. Let's see. Let me go over to Facebook and send a couple notifications there too. I don't know if you do when you do these, but we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, a couple different YouTube channels. We're all over the place. So because I like the attention. Dev says, can see and hear you well. Thank you, Dev. Shannon says, hey, pick and sound are good. Thank you, Shannon. That's important to get out of the way because I have been on these before thinking I'm talking to people and I'm not. So we don't want that. So give me 1 more second to send out these notifications that you can only do on mobile for some reason because Facebook likes to make things difficult. And then we will get started.
Sounds good.
All right. So groups.
See, Chris Stone is in the house.
Is that when you're
Get one of my friends.
Yes.
Part of the fan club. Love it. Taught us everything we know.
Well, dudes named Chris are always really bright. So that's just been my experience.
Right. Same. So glad to have you in my life.
Smart Daddy, one of our regulars, says, hello, Chris and Renee. I should say, cast ahead with Chris Stone. There's your free plug, Advanced Refrigeration. Anybody that has their brand name and their name, I always make a point to do a free plug like that for them.
Love that.
Some people get the Office reference, some people don't. But all right, that looks like the crowd is starting to roll in. So let's go ahead and get started. I am joined today with Renee Hastings, who is the president and CEO of Executive Help Now, a premier virtual assistance agency. With over 15 years of experience, Renee and her team provide expert administrative support, podcast production, which we're going to talk about, and business consulting services to small business owners, content creators, and busy executives. Starting her entrepreneurial journey in 1996, Renee holds a degree in business management and has served as a Dale Carnegie leadership training coach. And she has appeared on NBC's KCRA News 3 and now dedicates her time as an inspirational speaker, podcast host, philanthropist, and small group Bible study coach. And her mission is to help others free up time for life's most important moments. What a wonderful cause. And I had the pleasure of being on Renee's show maybe 2 weeks ago. Time flies, I'm not sure, but it was a wonderful experience. So I couldn't wait to have her on. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. It is amazing to be on your show. So honored to be on your platform.
We're pumped to have you here. So usually what we do in these, it's been a while since I've done one of these interviews, so you might be a little bit rusty, but just tell us, I know I gave a little bit of your history, but can you give us like your background and your origin story and why you're doing what you do now?
Yes, I'd love to. So part of my origin story, I think I would be remiss if I didn't go back to the days of my grandfather, who was a sharecropper and moved our family from the South of the United States to Wisconsin in an Amish community where we were the only Black family for miles around. And because we were the only Black family in our community, it was super important that we all represented the family well and that our work ethic was above reproach and was the absolute best that it could be. Because in the community where we lived, people like literally made a deal with a handshake. Nobody lied. Everybody was honest. And there was no crime. I mean, it was actually quite an amazing way to grow up. But when you are a sharecropper and you're a mint farmer, there's a lot that kind of rides on what you produce, how you produce it, and that sort of thing. And as a kid growing up, those values and that work ethic stuck with me throughout my entire childhood. so that when my mom presented me with an opportunity to be a part of a summer youth employment program in Madison, Wisconsin, I jumped on the opportunity because it was summertime and I wanted money.
Hmm.
And I was like 12. So for me to be able to learn some skills and discover what I did well, that I jumped on that. And so that's part of my origin story, because it was within those summer youth employment programs that I discovered how much I love helping people, how much I love organizing things like files and data and creating folders and subfolders and subfolders to keep things all organized. And so from there, I just really developed this crazy passion for doing office type work. So the second summer that they provided me with an opportunity, I was actually the assistant to a franchise owner operator of a Norrell Temporary Services Agency, and she was a Black woman. And so because she was a Black woman and she was a business owner, I actually got to see with my own eyes as a kid, yes, in our community, yes, this is something that could be a reality for someone who looks like me. So that, I think, is really the crucial development stage that I went through to kind of lay the foundation for where I am today. Because from there, I took all of the clerical classes, the typing and the dictation and the shorthand and I'm totally dating myself for anybody who knows what those things are.
I do.
But I really did well in those. I took all the marketing classes, the DECA classes, all of the things, even 4-H. I was, so because of our community was so rural, that was really popular in our area. But anyways, long story short, I really loved doing what I did. And so when I was with Norrell Temporary Services and I was listening to my fingers clickety-clacking on the keyboard, it just resonated with my spirit, because I said, every time I'm putting someone's information into this computer, their life is changing. They're getting ready to get a job. They're getting ready to be able to provide for their families. And it's because I'm putting their information in the computer. So like I said, by that time I was like 13, and I made a decision, an inner vow. And I said, I'm going to own my own business one day. And so I took steps to that end to make that happen. And so my entire working career was always as an administrative professional. And I took such pride in it. I worked my way up all the, from a receptionist to a clerical assistant, administrative assistant, executive assistant, to directors, and then to the C-suite. And after supporting executive directors to the C-suite for about 20 years, okay, I'm not that old, really, I promise. Okay. But it sounds so weird saying it. But I decided, my kids are grown and gone. It's just me and my husband at the house. Why don't I see if I can get a couple of my own clients on the side while I worked my full-time day job? So I had my little side hustle, and then, while I was working my full-time job. And so the journey just kind of started there when all of a sudden my side hustle clients started telling their friends about the work that was being done for them and how much better their life was, because now they could go home and eat more meals with their families and not miss their kids' games or their daughters' recitals or whatever that looked like, and kind of have some brain space to actually focus on casting vision and things like that for their companies. The more they told their friends about me, the more their friends told their friends about me. And then before I knew it, I was burning the candle at both ends. Nothing was getting done well. And then remember what I said, that spirit of excellence that was existing, like my foundation, it started to suffer. And I was like, oh no, something's got to give here. So it was my uncle who actually told me, you need some help. And I was like, I know, because I'm so tired. And so I actually hired my first virtual assistant, and her name is Ashley. She was a game changer in my life. And so when I was able to finally allow myself to delegate some things to Ashley, my world just turned around, and no longer was I losing so much sleep, and no longer was my work suffering. I was now able to get back on track because I had someone else to delegate to. So that's how all of this pretty much got started.
Wow. That's a great story. There's a couple things there I want to touch on that I don't know if you even realized yourself, but you said that this shows me that you're a natural entrepreneur because you said it's summertime and I want to make some money. A non-entrepreneur kid would have said it's summertime, I want to go party. That's one difference. And then that between an entrepreneur and a I was going to say a regular person, but a non-entrepreneur.
Right.
And then the other one was you talked about helping people. And that's something entrepreneurs don't always get the credit they deserve for. So that's great to hear. Now, the other thing I want to mention is you talked about working with like helping children like to learn. Did I understand that right?
So the Summer Youth Employment Program was a program that was created by the city of Madison, actually, in Wisconsin. And so it was they worked with the school systems to sign up kids at the end of the school year, to give them some things to do for the summer. So it was through that program. And I think that, those kinds of programs are available in many cities across the nation.
The reason I ask is I'm starting a nonprofit to teach entrepreneurship to like disadvantaged and incarcerated youth. And I literally just filed the paperwork for it today. So it was interesting that came up. And like, we didn't even plan that. It just worked out that way.
Wow, so, that's amazing, Chris. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we get into what you're doing today, one thing that comes up a lot, a question I get a lot from aspiring entrepreneurs is, should I go to college? My experience with college has not led to my entrepreneurship, whatever the word is, at all. Because I went for computer programming and then public policy, and I don't use any of it. And I still get to pay for it because that's a whole other topic. But yours was in business management, right? Business administration, something like that.
Well, Chris, funny you should ask that question because I actually graduated from high school at 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so, but once I graduated, it was with a 1-month-old son. So I wasn't able to go to college for several years later because I had to focus on my time and effort and energy as a single teen mom on welfare, trying to get off of welfare, become self-sufficient, and keep a roof over my child's head and clothes on his back and just basically keep him alive as a teen mom. That was quite an accomplishment and achievement because it's hard being a teen mom. And so that delayed my ability to go back to school because I had all these aspirations. I wanted to be a civil engineer and a city planner because I like buildings and I like roads and off ramps. It was the strangest thing. But then after I started in these summer programs, I was like, this is where my natural gifts and skills and talents are. And since I now can't go on that trajectory through college, I might as well do what I know that comes naturally for me and that I love, which was that administrative trajectory. But I did go to college later, got my business management degree, and it has served me well. Okay. However, I say all that to say, in this day and age that we live in now, I certainly agree that the more education you have, the less physical labor you have to do. I don't know if that's a overgeneralization or I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but that just has been my experience, that the less physical labor you do, the more educated you are, typically. And I'm not trying to start any debates in the chat. I'm just saying.
I think the numbers probably would back that up, like over the course of a lifetime of what people do and don't do.
Yeah, exactly. And so I strongly encourage people to get an education. That's one thing my mom always said to me is get your education. Nobody can take your education away from you. And once you attain knowledge, then knowledge is power. There's so much truth to knowledge being power.
Yeah.
And because without that knowledge, you don't even know how to use the tools and resources that are available to you. So you have to get some kind of basic knowledge, basic understanding of what is available so that you can avail yourself of it, right?
So do you think that college is the way to go about that, or do you think it can be less formal?
It can be less formal, long as you have something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say when that question comes up because I could make a case for both sides. So like I always like to get people's perspective on that. Cool.
Yeah, it's just so important. Education is so important, and especially I think it's through that education process that I learn and identify your own natural gifts, skills, and talents.
Yeah.
So and so I think it definitely is the way to go. But it doesn't have to be a formal, even, it doesn't have to be a formal 4-year degree, but something is always helpful.
Yeah, YouTube
And
University, if nothing else.
Say that again.
YouTube University, if nothing else.
Exactly. Well, and what I was saying is, so with this competitive job market that we have out here, like for people who are looking for jobs, and I'm saying this because we just went through a hiring for our company, and stacked next to each other, 2 assistants who have the same years of experience, have the same, everything is equal. The one who has a degree typically will be the one who gets hired.
Yeah.
So it just basically sets you apart.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what you want to major into, because like liberal arts major probably isn't going to get that advantage, but something, there's nothing wrong with that, but right. Job wise, it's just not that much of an advantage. But anyway,
right.
I just wanted to ask that because it comes up a lot from people I know. So
awesome. Well, I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about what you're doing now. You have a couple of different things going on. You have Executive Help Now. You have your podcasting offer. Can you just tell us what you're up to these days?
Yes, absolutely. So that's like I mentioned, when I was 13, one day I'm going to own a business. I actually made that dream a reality and started a company called Executive Help Now. Actually, back in like 2014, the company started as my side hustle, as I had mentioned. And Executive Help Now is a virtual assistant service agency. And the reason why I started a virtual assistant service is because someone wisely told me years ago that if you're going to start a business, do what you know how to do. So I decided to start a business doing what I knew how to do, which was support executives and manage basically their lives. When you are an executive assistant to a C-suite level person, they rely on their assistant to help manage all of their comings and goings, all of the things. And pretty much their executive assistant has insight into things that most of their people around them don't have access to or are privy to. So we become their confidant, we become their right hand, and we take pride in that role, in that position, and guard secrets like Fort Knox. And it's really quite an honor to partner with an executive in that way. And so we now have a team currently of 40 team members, which may be relatively small in some areas and relatively large in others. But we have a team that are ready and available and to start supporting other executives and lightening their load and being that person for them, being their person. So that's our main business is the virtual assistant service agency.
It's an interesting. First of all, before I say that, you're absolutely right about executive assistants. I have one of my own, and she's like one of my favorite people in the world. And I often have said that if somebody ever decided to blackmail me, that she'd be the one that they should go to, because she has the goods on me. So that's an interesting twist on a VA agency, because I know a lot of folks that run VA agencies, and generally they offer, the social media management, the content writing, and just odd and end tasks. But I've never I've never seen one before that focused specifically on that. So there was you probably found a gap that existed, right? Like there probably aren't that many others that do what you do.
Right. So we really pride ourselves on our experience being able to jump in and hit the ground running because that's what we do and that's what we love. That's what we wake up to do is to support executives in their journey. And so there is a gap, even though that the field is becoming more and more saturated with folks who are virtual assistants. Our team has not only the administrative skills but also specialize in other areas that might be needed, like project management or graphic design or social media, so we do that as well. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for all of the things that you need to support you as the executive or your company or your team or departments, whatever that looks like. If you're a college or university, we can step in and help you with your summer programs. I mean, there's so many different things that we do because all of the skills that we have are so transferable. So we really separate ourselves that way, being the one-stop shop.
That's so wonderful. And, I have a comparable experience. Like we don't have I have a platform with a lot of freelancers, many of whom are watching right now. And the other upside to that is when you need something, you have a big pool of people that you can pull from too. Because like a lot of our full-time employees are people that came through us as freelancers. So that's an advantage to that type of business as well.
Exactly. And when you hire someone from our team, we have such a pool of resources available so that if there is something that particular person doesn't know how to do, we have our communication channel and they just put in a little chat and it's like, hey, I need some help with this. Can somebody help me out? And so it's a very collaborative type of environment that we work in. And I think we're still small enough to kind of have that family feel to us where we literally care about one another. We know one another. We have success coaches that meet with our team members either weekly or bi-weekly, and to keep them engaged and letting them know how much we care about them and how much we want to see them succeed in their client assignments and things like that. And then our success coaches roll up to our business operations manager, who is Ashley. Remember Ashley?
I do.
Yeah, so Ashley is our business operations manager now, and she oversees all of our success coaches. So it's a really great org structure that keeps our remote teams engaged and providing that community that a lot of remote workers enjoy.
Yeah. It's funny that her title is, what is it? Business operations manager?
Uh-huh.
I have a director of operations. And the reason I chose that title for him rather than chief of operations was because the acronym is DO, and I have a 6th grade sense of humor. He's watching right now. That's why I told that story.
That is so funny. Yeah, so she's my bomb. Because she's the bomb.
Yours is much more respectful than mine is, but anyway.
I love it.
Born says, my EA knows more about what is going on in my business than I do most of the time.
So true. It is so true. And I mean, and that's how you have a good person. And when you find your right person, oh my word, that is truly a sweet place to be in because sometimes finding the right match can be a challenge. And so that's another thing that we do for our executives is that we have done so much vetting and screening and skills assessments and all of the things so that when we make a match to somebody, we are very confident in the relationship being a success because we value the relationship so much and we know how important that your person is. So that's my job on the team, is to actually not only bring in new clients, but to make those matches and keep those relationships so that I know that I'm making the right match to the right client, to the right VA.
If you took exactly what you just said and applied it to a dating matchmaker, it would be almost identical.
Absolutely.
It's very simple, I would assume. So.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way because it is a relationship that gets developed over time, and it's just a business, relationship. It's not a, personal relationship. Although, as you get to know somebody, you develop a care for them. Yes. And you really want only the absolute best for them. So you deliver over and above, their expectations because it will make them happy. And
Yeah,
so,
like
yeah.
my executive assistant sometimes will do things, and I'm like, you don't have to do these things for me. That's way beyond your job. And she's like, oh, I just want to make sure you have what you need.
Right. Isn't that awesome?
And to be honest, it made me a little uncomfortable at first. Like, it took a while to get used to it, but not in a bad way,
Right.
just, but yeah, now it is, it's a wonder. I appreciate how much that person cares. So.
Right. Absolutely. And Chris, you would be amazed how difficult it is for some people to let go and to accept goodness and to be the recipient of good things. That's been one of the biggest eye openers for me as I've, talked to so many different people and helped them through the onboarding process with a virtual assistant, that it is a challenge for some people to actually allow themselves to be served. And yeah. And but it's something we just find joy in helping them work through because we know what it's like on the other side and how much better their life is.
That's a nice way to put it. And I know people like that, myself included, but like, I can't, like, I have people that work for me that I cannot get them to accept a compliment when I tell them they've done something well.
Now, did you ever see that movie? That's not even a movie. It was a show that came on years ago called 24.
Yeah.
With, oh gosh, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm supposed to say all those words, but anyway.
That's okay.
It was an amazing series that we watched religiously, and there was a lady on there who worked the computers, and someone tried to give her a compliment. She goes, "I don't do compliments well." And so what you said just made me think about that. So yeah, it can be a challenge for some folks, but I have always been high on praise and words of affirmation. And so that's just been a part of my personality and my spirit. I'm a very rainbows and Skittles kind of person. And and so I love sharing that energy and joy. And so I love showering people with compliments, especially when they're so well deserved. So,
yeah. Sure. Now, I mentioned in the beginning, I was on your podcast a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that struck me about it was just how well it was put together. Like, all the stuff that you didn't see, everybody watching, I'm talking to you now, all the stuff you didn't see at the beginning of this interview, you would see on hers, like a opening and like a theme song and like graphics and somebody else working the stuff behind the scenes. It was really, really well done and made me feel very inferior. But but it's really well done. And then I learned at the end that that's something that you actually do, right? Like, that's a service that you guys offer. So
yes,
there's absolutely a need for that. I can tell you, just because I have no patience for that kind of stuff myself. But can you just tell us a little bit about that and how it works?
Yes, absolutely. So when someone hires us for their podcast production services, we offer basically done for you service. But a podcast isn't just showing up and talking, but that's what we want to make it for our hosts. So all they have to do is just show up and talk. We do all the other things behind the scenes that people don't see. They don't see us reaching out to find them guests. They don't see us communicating with that guest to make sure that they're properly prepared with their lighting and their camera and their audio and all of the things that we're working through with them. They don't see all of the preliminary scripts that we put together to make sure that they're lined up properly and will appear great on the camera. And then all the follow-up that gets done and the transitions within the show to keep people engaged and interested in what's happening. And then after the show, reminding them of what's going to happen next and all of the content that we can produce for them and repurpose for them and all of the different things. All of that takes work, but that's what makes a podcast successful. But nobody has the time or interest. Maybe I'm being overgeneral, but
you're not.
A lot of people don't have the time or interest in doing all of those things, but that's what makes a great show. Yeah. And those are the things that we love to do. And we have a system in place that works really well, that our guests really enjoy and give us lots of compliments on. So yes, we now offer that as a service.
And that's through the same link that I put up before, right?
Yes. Yep. Through it's Executive Help Now. The name of our podcast leg of the business is called Livestream Editors, but Livestream Editors is powered by Executive Help Now.
Okay. I just want to make sure I give them the right way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that struck me that you said there is the scripting. I don't script anything at all. Everything that we've talked about today, I had no idea I was going to ask you coming into this. So hopefully that does not come off. I think I do a pretty good job of hiding that, but that's never even occurred to me, to be honest. And it would make it a lot easier because as I'm saying this, like for my YouTube videos, like the pre-made ones, I do have a script written for those. So it never occurred to me to do them for a podcast. So that right there tells me there's gaps and things that need to be done. And the other thing that I don't think you actually mentioned, but uploading podcasts to all the podcast platforms is a huge pain in the ass, at least in my experience. Because like they have different formats. The image for it has to be at different dimensions on every platform. It's one of the reasons I've only ever done it like maybe 10 times out of hundreds of like video ones like this that I've done. So it's a lot of work, right?
Yes, it absolutely is a lot of work. But yes, we absolutely do all of that uploading to all the different streaming platforms. And one of the things I love about the scripting is that it keeps everything consistent. And when you have a good system in place and you have that consistency, it's easy to repeat it over and over and over again. So to make sure that you keep getting great reviews about how well done the podcast is.
So while we're on the subject of podcasting, you use it to push your videos, right? Or not your video, your businesses, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So who should have a podcast and where should they start?
So in my opinion, everyone should have a podcast if they own a business.
Yes. I was hoping.
So because it's a great way to, number one, meet people. It's a great way to continue your education because I feel like I have a master's level degree with the level of guests that we've had on the show and how they have just been so generous in sharing their knowledge and wisdom with our audience. So that in itself, the relationships that get developed, the education that you receive, it's the way that you can reach out to other people's network through them, because other people know people, and people love to network and share good things. And so when they've had a great experience, the first thing they want to do is tell somebody about it. Imagine if you went to a restaurant and you had a really great steak. What's the first thing you're going to do when you get with your friend? You're going to be like, oh man, I just had the best steak ever. You've got to go to this place, right? That's what we want people to do when they go through our podcasting experience. And that's what we would want other business owners to experience when they put on a show or when they produce a show or when they have someone produce a show for them, that their guests will continue to tell other people about them and the services that they provide.
So what's something that stops people from starting one? What do you think that is?
The work. Yeah. It's a lot. It is a lot of work, but people also need to realize that they don't have to be the ones to do the work. So it's easily able to be delegated to someone else who wakes up looking forward to doing those things.
So when they work with your service, all they have to do is record.
Yes, they just show up and record. We send them the link to join us, and you just show up and talk.
So you even do set that up for them, because when I do my videos, I'm comparing this to the agency that runs my YouTube. And all I have to do with them is push record. I use Camtasia, but use whatever software. But it sounds like you even set up the recording area.
Oh yes, absolutely. And when we're scheduling, one of the things I love about how we record is that we record some sessions as pre-recorded sessions. We have one live session and 4 pre-recorded sessions that we typically will record in one day. So that batch recording style works really well for me because number one, it takes less time out of my busy schedule. It helps me to accomplish a lot in a short amount of time. And we're able to chop up all the content that we have to help us to create content, throughout the whole month from what efforts that we put on, put forth in one day of the month. Does that make sense? I felt like I was rambling a little.
No, I get what you mean. It's kind of like the hub of a content engine, because like you have this great big piece of content at the end that you can use so many different ways. You can put up put it in the reels, into shorts, maybe into long form video, depending on how long it is. You can do you can get the captions and turn it into a blog post. You can turn it into social media post. And is that part of what you do too, or no?
Yes, we do all of that. Yes, all of that.
Everyone should have a podcast, because everyone needs to be doing content marketing, and that's one way to do it all at once, more or less.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Content marketing is, of course, as you know, the way to build your business and the way to get known, for people to recognize your name, for you to show up quicker in more places. You need that content. And when you have a podcast and that you can repurpose in so many different ways, that just helps with all of that SEO and all of the, showing up and being seen and being found, which ultimately is what you need to grow your business.
Right. When I was on your podcast, we talked about AI. And when we talk about content marketing, like we're just talking about now, most people think, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, all that stuff, which is important. But what people don't realize is that one of the ways that you get to be part of the answer in a chat, AI chat, like a chat GPT or whatever, is to be mentioned as often as possible in association with the things that you want to be mentioned with. So doing more and more content will get you to show up there too. And this is like the least traffic right now, is the least you're ever going to get from AI. It's only going to get more. So you should be doing more of this now. And it seems like your service can streamline that for people.
Yes, absolutely. And I loved when you were on the show and we were talking about that, and the point that you made, that where we are today with AI is the lowest level of AI.
Yeah.
And I love how you shared that the more we show up, the more we can be included in the responses that get generated by AI, because it is open source and it's pulling from all of the things that are related to whatever that subject matter is. The more you show up in there, the more you get to influence. Is that the right word? Influence the results, which is in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. And just to make, you said how fat, like it being like the lowest it's ever been. When I was on your show, maybe I forget exactly, like 2 weeks ago, there's been a big change since then. Like now ChatGPT put out a new feature that helps you create images, and it's just as good, if not better, than like a lot of humans. Like I hate to say that, because a lot of them work for me, but like a lot of humans, like, and it's light years ahead of where it was in mid-March. So it's April 1st.
Yeah, it's insane how fast things are changing. And one of the points that we also talked about is that some people are afraid of AI, and some people just want it to go away.
Yeah.
And basically if that is how they're feeling, they need to get over it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going anywhere. It is here to stay, and we need to get comfortable with it. We need to get familiar with it. We need to learn quickly how to leverage it so that our businesses can continue to expand and keep up with the times and stay innovative. Yeah. And so if you are not remaining innovative, it's hard to stay competitive in this quickly changing industry of business.
Yeah, the people that are complaining about it now are the 21st century equivalent of a VCR repairman. I mean, 2/3 of the people listening have no idea what I just said. But
right. Don't forget the Betamax.
I do get the fear that they have, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can be right or you can be rich, and I would rather be rich than be right.
Same. Same. Hashtag goals. It's like, yes, absolutely. Because we cannot put our head in the sand and think that it's just going to go away. That is foolishness. Just actually need to find whatever intestinal fortitude we need to gumption up and just suck it up and just deal. Just deal, get involved, learn something. There's so many new AI platforms and tools out here that it's almost overwhelming. But just pick one, pick two, pick three. Dedicate a few minutes a day, every day, to learning something new in each one. And then before you know it, your fear is gone and you're learning new things that keeps you more relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. People will often tell you that I don't have time to learn. I was like, if you take real time inventory of your time for like a week, you'll be able to identify an hour that you can scrape away. And if you can't, then just get up an hour earlier. But the effort is there, so stop making excuses. I don't want to do. I naturally gravitate toward the tough love type of thing, but it doesn't play well with people. So I'm trying to not do that. But it's true. Right? Like you just have
it's very true. Yeah. You have to be tough. Even with my rainbows and Skittles, I'm still tough.
I have no trouble believing that. All right. So we're getting close to the end. If you had one general piece of advice for everybody, it can be anything you want, inspirational, practical, tactical, whatever. What would it be?
My one piece of advice would be to discover your natural gifts, skills, and talents. Don't sit on them. Bless people with them because only you have them and nobody else does.
That's a great answer. I'm guessing that's based out of the fact that you waited a little longer than you wanted to take advantage of yours, right?
I did, unfortunately, but even no matter where I was in life, it's like if I'm in this time and space, I'm going to take full advantage of every opportunity I have. So I didn't go to college right out of high school, but in that space between high school and when I did finally get there, I met some incredible people. I discovered things I was capable of in those particular times and spaces because I accepted challenges that were presented to me head on without fear. Like I was invincible.
Basically what you're saying is you needed those experiences to get where you are.
Absolutely. 100%.
Like Batman doesn't become Batman if his parents don't get
right. If they don't send him to the summer youth employment program.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So other than the site that we have on your screen, it's Executive Help Now. Let me just bring that up real quick so people can see it.
Yeah, executivehelpnow.org. And even though we're not a nonprofit, don't get swayed by the .org. .com was taken or got taken from me after, it's a long story. It's a whole thing. Yes, but yeah, it's .org.
Let me.
That's where you can find
get my windows lined up. So I'll bring it up on the screen and you can just kind of walk us through it.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. So if I wanted to hire somebody, what would I do?
Yeah. So most people want to make an educated decision. And so we have created this website that contains so much information about who we are, the services that we provide, what we offer. We, at the top, talk about our podcast services, which leads us over to the Livestream Editors website. Renee Speaks is my podcast where you get to look and see what it could look like for you to have a show. And for each of our guests, we create a page for them. If you click on your page, you actually get to see what we have put together for you as just a kind of an added bonus to stay connected with our guests. We really take seriously the guest experience for our podcast. So, and that's one of the things I really want to press home is the guest experience for Renee Speaks is truly like none other. And we take a lot of pride in that. So back on the website, if you click on any of those links to learn more or find out more, it takes you to a contact page, which basically is my Calendly. Schedule some time with me. I'd love to sit down with you to learn more about you, your business, your goals, how we might be able to help you and support you in reaching and helping you thrive and reaching your ultimate capacity.
Fantastic. And if they wanted to just see some more of your content, where should they go?
They can go either on the Renee Speaks podcast. They can see more of my YouTube channels. If they want to see, we also have digital brochures available Once I have that meeting with them and I learn more about the specific things that they're looking for, I have digital brochures that I will share with them that go into the details, because every business is so unique that we want to cater specifically to them in our responses. So that's why that Calendly appointment is so important. But if you scroll down, it definitely outlines some of the services, who I am, some of the services that we offer. These are some of those circles up there, talk about what kind of sets us apart a little bit, that we are, woman owned, of course. We college educated assistants, all of the things that kind of set us apart from the rest of the industry, I guess is the best way to put that. But yeah, fully insured, all of the things.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I hope that everybody watching enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll go check out Renee's various sites and content. And if you need any help, she's right there for you. So is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I also have an 800 number that if anyone is curious, they might have an idea. Well, I don't know if I'm ready for a virtual assistant, or I don't know if I qualify to have a virtual assistant, or what can a virtual assistant do for me? We have a toll-free number that you can text VA Now to 1-866. I can actually drop that into the chat, 943-3591, and get a free brochure that kind of help you work through those thoughts that you're having and help you come up with some solutions. So I'm happy to share that with your audience.
Please do. If you share it, I'll put it on the screen.
Yep, absolutely. I'll do that right now. All right, there you go.
Is it in the... I see. All right, let me put that in the comments there.
Awesome.
If anybody has any questions for Renee, get them in now, because we're going to wrap up shortly. But here is the number. It's 1-866-943-3591, and you can just text via SMS, not WhatsApp, because people that watch me always try to do that, to VA Now, or text VA Now to that number, and she'll get you that brochure and help you out. So. All right. Jacqueline says, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Renee. Blythe, thank you, Jacqueline. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. I always feel bad when I do, but I don't think I did. Chris, the other Chris, says Renee has an incredible story. She's transformed my business, and I'm so grateful for her. So I'm going to screenshot that for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chris is the absolute best. He is a friend and a client, and we have just been so blessed by being able to serve him.
Wonderful. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up. Everything's in the chat, but I'll try to remember to put this in the description on YouTube as well afterwards, and put it in a pinned comment if you're watching this in the future. If you are watching this in the future, don't let me know what happens. I want to experience it for myself. So this has been a wonderful conversation. And as always, the best thing about having great guests like Renee is that it means less work for me to do. So that's really important, because you want to spend your time as you want to do it, right? But no, tomorrow we'll be back with something. I don't know what, because I haven't hired a company like Renee's to help me be organized like that. And I just make shit up as I go along. So, but we will be back with something. So subscribe, like, do all the things. And Renee, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. This has been an amazing experience.
Absolutely. I'll see everybody again tomorrow. Until then, figure out what you want out of life and go out and get it, because you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.